You are welcome to the third lecture, which is lecture A3. I'll try to be fast. Maybe if we can just do it within an hour. What we're going to look at today is an introduction on the application of a dot product. Those who still remember, I think, mathematics, that is in first year at natural sciences, you can remember when and how to use that name or that tool by the name of dot product. But before we do that, I would want you to do some recall, so maybe you can, I take you back on what we discussed last week. That was on lecture A2, where I introduced you to the position force vectors, the unit vectors, and so on. Then also there's a homework, an example that I had shared to you guys that you go through, but hope most of you did find time to solve that problem. And maybe by today you understand the procedure on how to solve that engineering problem. So as I've already alluded, we'll look at how to use a dot product in solving our problems. You will realize that a dot product is only useful when you are solving real stuff, real problems that are 3D problems. If it is 2D, there's no need of you using the dot product. You can view the angle, you can view the direction, you can view the magnitude, because it's just on X and Y plane. But now in 3D, it becomes very difficult even for you just to view, to visualize where the force is starting from and where it's going, and also for you to get the angle. So this product, the so-called the dot product, it will be very useful for you guys for solving 3D problems. So there was this example 2-6, which I had said you find time and go through that example. The question is, two forces act on the hook shown in that figure. Specify the magnitude of F2 and its coordinate direction angles so that the resultant force FR acts along the positive y-axis and has that magnitude, which is 800 Newton. So first thing first, what are we looking for? What are we looking for? So, for me, I would say, first we are looking for the force, which is F2, and you are also looking for the direction angles, which is the alpha, beta, and gamma. These are the four things that we are looking for. Now, what do we have? What do we have? We have F1, which is 300. Newton. Right? What else do we have? We also have the coordinate direction angles for F1. So when you are solving our problem, we have F1, which is 300 Newton, and at the same time, we have the direction angles, which is, in this case, since these angles that we are looking for, they are angles for force 2. So I'll also name this to be alpha 2, then this will be beta 2, and gamma 2. So that the 45 will be alpha 1, the 60 degrees will be beta 2, and the 120 degrees will be the gamma 2. Now, the F1, the 300, it is not in Cartesian notation. So you can as well represent F1 in Cartesian notation. Then also, we have been given the magnitude, which is 800, right? So our magnitude will be 800. Already I know about 800. Now, what is the direction of that 800? They have said that the 800 Newton is along the y-axis. The y-axis, if you can remember, this is J, this is I, and this is K. If you can remember our unit vectors, the IJK. So in this case, the 800 Newton, it is along the y-axis, which is J. Right? Here is a plus, and here is another plus. Of course, if the 800 is along the y-axis, this simply means the I component and the K component are zeros. So it will be I, 0I, and 0K. So I have already the FR, which is the magnitude, and it is in Cartesian notation. Then, again, you need to remember your equations. Your F, that force vector is equals to the F, which is the magnitude, times the unity vector. This is also the same as, if you can remember very well, this is supposed to be the same as the force multiplied by cos alpha I plus the same force cos beta plus the F, then cos gamma. Right? We can remember about that. This also, you can still represent it as the F is the same as the F component in the X plus, this is a force vector, the F component in the Y, that is a J, plus the F component in the Z, and a K. And we also remember that the resultant force, Fr, is equals to F1 plus F2. Now, once you have done this, it becomes easier for you now to solve this problem. F1 is equals to F1 cos alpha j plus F1 cos beta j plus F1 cos gamma k. We know our angles. We know our alpha 1 is 45, our beta 1 is 60, and our gamma 1 is 120. So already you now have F1. What about F2? For F2, if you use the equation for F2 is equals to the force cos alpha 2, that is I, plus F2 cos beta j plus F2 cos gamma 2k. You are going to have a lot of unknowns because you don't know the alpha 2, you don't know the gamma 2, you don't know the beta 2. At the same time, you don't know F2. So you have got a lot of unknowns. So the easiest way is to use this equation, the one that I just shared. The one which is the F2x component I plus F2y component j plus F2z component k. For this one, the only unknown is only the components for the force in the x, y, and z. Once you do that, you now apply your FR. We know what your FR is, which is 0I plus 800J plus 0K, is supposed to be equals to F1. We know the F1 plus the F2. We have that equation, right? Once you have that equation, you now need to make sure that the IJ components of the FR are equal to the IJK components of F1 plus F2. Then at the end, you are going to have the components in the I, so which will be 0 is equals to the 300 cos 5 plus the unknown, which is the F2x. Then you find the F2x. You do the same for the J component. The J component we have is the 800. 800 equals to 300 cos the beta, which is the 60, plus the component of F2 in the Y. Right? You only have one unknown, then you'll be able to find F2Y. You do the same for the last component, which is in the Z or the K unit vector. Even here, there is a 0 equals to 300 cos beta, which is a 120 degrees, plus the z component, which is f2z, you only have one unknown. Then you'll be able to find your f2z. Once you have your f2x, your f2y, your f2z, you remember now the equation for getting the magnitude. We can remember very well that the magnitude is a square root of those three components, which is the f, which is the f2x square plus the f component in the y squared plus the f component in the z. We now have the magnitude, right? Once we have that, we know that the first component was find the magnitude of f2. Now, how do we determine the coordinate direction angles? You can remember our equation, which is cos alpha 2 would be equals to the f component in the x over the magnitude of f2. You do the same for the x-axis, for the y-axis, sorry, for the y-axis, which will be the beta. Then you do also the same for the z-axis, which is the gamma. Then you are done. You have 20 out of 20. That's how simple it is. Yeah, this is just a recall on the position vector. I think I explained on how to get or to calculate what we call a position vector. In the course, I think maybe the next lecture, you'll be using the position vector to calculate a moment of a force. All of you are supposed to know what a moment is, because I think the first lecture I had explained what a moment is. So we are going to use this tool, the position vector, to calculate a moment. So throughout the course, we will use the right-handed coordinate system to reference the location of points in space. This was what we agreed last time. Points in space are located relative to the origin of those coordinates, which happens to be the O, which is here. The tip of the X, Y, and Z. That is the origin of those coordinates. I was just trying to demonstrate on how you can represent the position vector R in Cartesian notation. R is equals to xi plus yj plus zk. How is it xi plus yj plus zk. This is what I was just trying to show. You start from the origin, which is O, you move to the left by a distance of I, then from that distance of I, you move again in the y-axis by the distance of j, then you reach that point, then you do the same in the z-axis, you move by the distance of k, for you to find that point P with the coordinate x, y, and z. There are other situations where you might find that the position vector does not start from the origin. I explained on how to get that position vector. If it is moving from A to B or from B to A, what you need to do is, as an example, this position vector R, it is moving from A to B. So for you to get the position vector of this force, you need to subtract the I component from, that is B, minus those from A. So in this case it will be XB minus XA. Close the brackets, I, plus, open the bracket, YB minus YA, close the bracket, plus, open the bracket, ZB minus ZA, close the bracket, and you type your K. This is how the equation looks like. So even this I explained last time on how you can get that YB minus YA. It is just a distance, which is the difference in the respective component. If it is in the X, it's just the difference between where B is and where A is. Another example. An elastic rubber band is attached to points A and B as shown. Determine its length and its direction measured from A towards B. So even here, the first thing is to understand the question. The length, what is the length? How am I going to calculate the length? The length, in other words, it is they're asking you to find the magnitude of that band from A to B. So if someone is asking for the magnitude, it's just the same as someone is asking for the length. So here we know the equation on how to find the magnitude. Right? Then the next thing is the direction. What is the direction? Which direction are you talking about? Here we are talking about the alpha, beta, and gamma. And what is the equation of getting the direction? We know that cos alpha is equals to the AB itself in the x component over the magnitude. Then we do an inverse cosine. We find the angle. So first thing first, now since I understand the question, I know exactly what I'm looking for. The first step is the coordinates. Get coordinates. Get coordinates A and B. Get coordinates A and B. So the coordinates for A, when I look at that, I think it's supposed to be positive 1 and 0 and a negative 3. Then coordinates for B. Coordinates for B, when I look at that, is supposed to be negative 2 . Yes, it's supposed to be negative 2. Then a positive 2 and a positive 3. Once I have this, I now need to find a position vector which will be R. It is moving from A to B, so it will be RAB. RAB will be equals to B is negative 2 minus 1. It's going to give me negative 3. Negative 3I plus, I do the same. I'm always starting from B. So it is 2 minus 0, which is just a 2J, plus, I always start from a B. So it is B, which is 3 minus 3. 3 minus negative 3, which is going to be a plus 6. And it will be a K. And we know that this, it is in meters. Once we have this, the next thing now is to find the magnitude. Is to find the magnitude RAB. We find the magnitude of this, which is, all of us we know, it is a square of 3, which is 9, 2 squared, that is 4, and 6 squared, that is 36. When you add those, it's going to give you 49. And this will be 7. So once I have this, I now have to find the angles. How do I find the angles? The alpha, it will be negative 3 over 7. The beta, it will be 2 over 7. The gamma will be 6 over 7. Then once you find that, the inverse cosine, then you find the actual angle. This one is the same principle. Force vector directed along a line. I explained about this. This is just the unit vector itself, but except that there is a force now which moves along that unit vector A, B. So how do we define that force vector directed along a line? This is exactly on how you represent this. The F the position vector over the magnitude. Important notes. A position vector locates one point in space relative to another point. The easiest way to formulate the components of a position vector is to determine the distance and direction that must be traveled along the x. Always starts with x, y, and z. A force F acting in the direction of a position vector R can be represented in Cartesian form if the unit vector u of the position vector is determined and it is multiplied by the magnitude of that force, which is the F is equals to F times the unit vector, or which is the same as the F multiplied times the position vector divided by the magnitude of the position vector. We are going to break for 3 minutes. I will advise those using Zoom to continue to use the same link. I'm not going to change. I'm just going to extend some time, but I'm going to use the same link. Let's meet after 2 to 3 minutes. Thank you.